Hi. I've been tagged by a friend of mine from the Young Women's Breast Cancer Group to share my journey. There are about 20 questions. I'll answer those I can. Some of them may not pertain to me. This is to help young women who have been newly diagnosed with breast cancer. First question, what type of breast cancer do you have, and can you tell us about the characteristics of your type? First of all, I want to apologize. I have a slight sore throat. Every time I have surgery, for some reason, I get a sore throat and a cough. So please bear with me. So let me answer this. I have triple negative breast cancer, which usually presents as a basal-like cancer cell. Triple negative breast cancer is a very aggressive form of breast cancer where the tumor receptor status does not respond or is negative for targeted therapies. So it is negative for estrogen, progesterone, and HER2 receptor status, which would normally be treated with things like Herceptin and other targeted therapies, but it won't respond to them because it doesn't have the receptors to target. Triple negative breast cancer usually likes women in their 20s to 40s. It can be a very devastating cancer. Let's see, it has a very high reoccurrence rate in the first 1 to 4 years. After the 5th year, those numbers tend to drop off lower than other breast cancers. So, yay me. I'm just waiting for that 5th year. Woohoo! It also likes to metastasize to the brain, the lungs, and the bones. So, we have to be very vigilant. Triple negative breast cancer has a very high MIB rate. A MIB rate, M-I-B, is a way in which they count cancer cells. You can't count them while they're dividing, but you can count them while they're at rest right after they have divided. So that's how they count them. Most other cancers have about a 20 to 30% MIB rate. My pathology was 72.8%. Yes, I said 72.8%. Next question. Ooh, that don't pertain to me. Okay. What were your thoughts when you were diagnosed? Ooh, I better kind of clean that up. First of all, I fired this doctor, by the way. And yes, you can do that. My doctor called me on the telephone at home and just kind of blatantly, nonchalantly blurted it out like he was ordering hamburgers from McDonald's. I had 3 little ones and 2 older ones in the house at the time, and my little ones, of course, were all around me because I was in the kitchen when I answered the phone. He asked me, he said, "You're really quiet." Well, I was fighting to hold everything together. I had my little ones literally around my legs and running around and trying to show me stuff, and you know how little ones are. I think that's when my anger came out, and I had to hold on for everything I had because as a sailor's wife, I know some very colorful language, and pardon me, and I believe at that point that filter to control my more colorful language kind of broke, and it took everything I had to control it. So I very quietly said, "My children are in the room," and he said, "Oh," and he hung up. Yeah. Then he went on vacation for 2 weeks. I couldn't call him or get a hold of him. I had probably 1,000,001 questions to ask, and yeah. Like I said, later on, I fired him. Okay, what type of surgeries, if any, have you had? I had a full radical Holstead mastectomy. That's where they take you all the way down to your rib cage. They take the lining of the rib cage, the muscle, the pectoral muscle. They take everything literally, and they'd take more skin just to be on the safe side. With the aggressiveness of my cancer, that was the best thing. As a matter of fact, the doctor that I fired tried to do a lumpectomy, and I argued with him because I was sick to my stomach every time he said lumpectomy. And when I finally looked at him and said, I need a mastectomy, and I want a second doctor in that operating room, because I couldn't just fire him right then and there because he had already done the first surgery, and my insurance was, hold on a second. My insurance didn't want me to just go doctor hopping. So, hold on a second. There we go. I had to turn the TV off. I didn't realize my husband paused it. I'm very sorry about that. Anyway, they didn't want me doctor hopping in the middle of all of this. So, I had a second doctor there. And I have to say I thank very much for that second doctor, because as he was going through and doing the mastectomy, and my doctor was standing there, and my current doctor was standing there, that he noticed other issues. And that's when the decision to do the full Holstead was made, was right there on the operating table. And when the pathology came back, the first doctor tried to hide the fact from me that after arguing with me and telling me I didn't know what I was talking about, that he could do a lumpectomy because I'm so young, I need my breast, right? Well, now if they're going to kill me, hello. But the pathology report came back and said that there was metastasizing mets throughout the entirety of the breast that for some reason was not showing up on the mammogram. So that's why I had the surgery I had. A lot of people question why it was so radical. Next question. What types of therapies, if any, did you have? I had chemo and steroids. Because of the full Holstead mastectomy, there really wasn't anything left to do any radiation on, so that was kind of nice. I didn't have to have radiation. But I had Cytoxin and Taxotere and other cocktails of chemo, and they hit me hot and they hit me hard. So, that's what I did. So, next question. Did you do any alternative therapies? Yes, I did. I took very high doses of vitamin D. With all the current studies, it shows that women who are low in vitamin D have a much higher chance and a rate of breast cancer, and actually any other cancer too. So I took about triple the amount that, excuse my dog, she's senile, of what was normally prescribed, and then I took that twice a day. I did herbal supplements, Chinese to be exact. A dear friend of mine's father is a Chinese herbalist, and I will say he was the sweetest thing in the whole world, and he set me up with some nice herbal teas and things that I could sip on after chemo, and they really worked. I had so many friends in intensive care after chemo. I never once ended up in intensive care from chemo. I had a few Neupogen spells. If you know what that is, that's where you end up with 0 white blood cells. It's not fun. It hurts. You're sick. It's painful. And you can't eat fresh fruits or vegetables. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm sitting in my home looking at homegrown tomatoes that I can't touch. So, that was a little difficult. Let's see, I also did meditation, prayer, and laughter. Okay. Next one. I kind of already answered this, but I guess I'll go into depth. What did you do to help you through your experience? Laughter. Like I said, I watched every comic that I could get my hands on. Some of the best ones were like Jeff Dunham, Peanut. Yeah, laughed my way all through that. Robin Williams. Oh my gosh, he was absolutely hysterical. At one point, I literally was rolling, laughing and crying so hard at Robin Williams that my husband came in to ask me if I was okay because I was only like a day out of chemo. And he was like, "Are you okay? Is the chemo making you that sick, or is it hurting that bad?" And I couldn't help it. I just looked at him and laughed harder and was snarfing all over the place, saying, "Chemo? What chemo? I'm watching Robin Williams. This is like the greatest thing in the world." Yeah. I also found prayer and meditation. Medication. Oh yeah, medication too. Medication's always good. I also found prayer and meditation invaluable. And especially during the 8 to 10 hour chemos that I had to get. I also found meditation very helpful for the fact that I'm allergic to every opiate. I'm one of those rare lucky people who can't have almost any kind of pain medications. So basically I get sent home from every surgery, including the mastectomy, with Tylenol. Take Tylenol as needed. Okay. So meditation and prayer was very, very helpful. Very invaluable. Okay, next question. What, if anything, do you think people do to cancer patients that you would like to tell them to stop? Well, those of you who know me know this, but some of you out there probably don't know this. I am a nerd. And when I say nerd, I mean Doctor Who, Firefly, Star Trek, nerd. Definitely. But anyway, I had been committee at a science fiction convention for many, many, many years. And I decided about 8 days out of chemo that, I don't mean done with chemo, I meant out from a chemo, that I wanted to go to the convention. I was feeling pretty good. So I put on my prettiest hat. I put on my prettiest scarf. I put my makeup on. I put my clothes on. And I was going to get out of the house, and it wasn't going to involve a doctor's office. I was excited. And on top of it, there were going to be books. Books, books, and books everywhere. I love books. And I was just really, really stoked. So we get there. And my daughter had suggested that we take the wheelchair because if you know anything about chemo, you know about chemo legs. Well, you try to go one way and your legs try to go another, and they don't necessarily try to both go in the same direction at the same time, so you're not exactly coordinated. So we took the wheelchair. So in order to get through the crowds and stuff, my daughter was just having a blast, acting like she was running me into the walls and all kinds of stuff, and we were having a good time. And I was seeing a lot of friends I hadn't seen in months, a couple of them in a year since the last convention. And we were doing our nerd talk and everything else when around the corner comes a friend I haven't seen in a couple years. For starters, he was dressed up like a Klingon. I will tell you that right now. So there's nothing like having a Klingon walk up to you and realize who you are, and their face drops and they give you that look like you give somebody who's dying. First of all, on the face of a Klingon, that was just not right. For second, don't ever give a cancer patient that look. Third, don't give a woman that look. I had my makeup on, my best hat. I was out and I was just completely encompassed by my total nerddom, and I was happy. So, the next thing he did that I would just love to tell people to stop is he made the brave remark. You're so brave. I can't believe how strong you are fighting this because you're so brave. Tell me I'm strong, that's fine. But brave, please don't mistake self-preservation for bravery. The alternative to self-preservation means that I'm not the one being brave. Bravery to me are the friends that I have lost to this bitch of a disease. that knew that their war was over. They knew that they lost their war, but they had the bravery to face the final battle with grace and dignity and love and on their terms. That's bravery. So please don't mistake bravery for self-preservation. Next question. Is there anything you hid about your diagnosis or feelings from your family? We really didn't hide it from the children. We just tried to kind of keep a feeling of normalcy for them going in the house. Schedules and, friends and their judo and, things like that. Beyond that, I didn't tell people when I was scared. I didn't want people to worry. People would come up to me and make, comments, and things, and I would have to tell them, you know what? Don't worry. I will tell you when to worry. I'm fine. And I'm not telling you to worry, so don't worry. That was my big thing to tell people. Beyond that, I never told this to anybody, not even my husband, so I guess he's going to kind of find out now. But I went through a long period, and I can still kind of fall back into that sometimes, when I felt ugly and disfigured. I didn't want to look in the mirror when I changed clothes. Didn't matter what I did. The girls didn't sit right. Nothing just seemed right. It took me a while to get to the point to where I really had to address that issue within myself. Now I can tell you that these are my warrior stripes. I earned them. I'm stronger for them. They're mine, and I'm going to own them. I'm not saying I always feel this positive about them, but they're mine, and I'm going to own them. Next question. Can you share your fears on or about possibly dying? I'm sorry, her handwriting. It's beautiful, but it's different. From breast cancer. I don't think I was particularly scared about dying for myself. I'm not necessarily particularly that fearful of death. I'm strong in my faith. I know where I stand. So for me, it wasn't necessarily about me actually dying for myself. That the fear wasn't for myself. As a motherless child, the fear was for the thought of leaving my children motherless. Because I know that feeling all too well. I know the feeling of going off to your first sleepover and your mother's not there. Your first bra and your mother's not there to be the one to buy it for you. Your first date, your driver's license, graduation, going off to college, walking down the aisle, having children. I know that my mother has never known my children, and that's hard for me, and it's not the legacy I want to leave to my children. 10. What would you tell a newly diagnosed breast cancer patient with your diagnosis? First of all, I would tell her to breathe. That sounds funny, but I can't count how many times in that first 24 to 48 hours I felt like I was going to pass out and realized I was holding my breath. I wasn't breathing. Breathe. Get your support system together. Get your support people together, whether they're professional people or your friends and family. I'm going to tell you probably want your friends or family. You want people that are going to be there just for you. You want people that don't care if you call them at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. You want people that, somebody that you trust that you can go to the doctor's office with and that can take notes for you and help you ask questions and make sure that you understand what you're being told. The next most important thing I'm going to say is get all your doctors on the same page and get them talking to each other. I mean, from your primary care physician to every single doctor that is touching you at all. I don't care if it's your dentist. Get them all talking. And fourth, you're stronger than you think. And to reach out to the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. I found these women, and I will tell you, my diagnosis was pretty devastating. And I don't say that to mean that I was necessarily devastated. My family was, because when the research was done, little hope was given. However, these women are surviving and thriving. They are strong. They are warriors. They are so intelligent. They are on the cutting edge of knowledge of new therapies targeted for triple negative breast cancer. And they are loving women. They are living life to the fullest. And yes, we do lose some of them. However, they are thriving, wonderful, strong women. And I will try to put a link to them, but they are called the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. So anyway, next question. This is kind of a hard one. Would you show your mastectomy scars to help other women in their journey? I think on a one-on-one basis, yes, I would. I don't know about on the internet. So that's kind of difficult. So I'll have to think about that. More than likely, nobody's going to be seeing my scars on the internet. Though that could change. So if I will put a warning if I do it. Is there anything you would change that you did during your journey? Not look my diagnosis up on the internet. Don't do that. That was not good. No. Just don't do that unless you have your support group right there. What is the most positive thing that you have learned from this journey? That I'm stronger than the sum of my parts. That I am a survivor. That I am strong. I am capable. And I can handle much more than I ever dreamed I could ever handle. I also learned that your attitude goes a very long way in determining the outcome of so much in our lives. You've heard people say, is the glass half empty or is it half full? Well, I'm here to tell you it's half full. And if your glass is empty, rejoice because you had something to drink. There's so many things that we don't have control over in our life. One of those things is how we die. But we can choose how we live. And with that said, I would like to say goodbye and wish everybody a blessed day. And I hope that this sharing of my journey helps anybody that it touches that needs it. And have a good day. Stay strong. You're a survivor and a thriver. Goodbye.